We're live.
Hi everyone. So I just thought again, while we're just waiting for people to come in, this session's going to be about agents. I hope it'll be quite inspiring. There'll be certainly some good questions at the end of this one. But just while you're waiting, and we'll have a look at these at the end, I'm really interested in whether people have had good or bad experiences of AI agents. Maybe think to your most recent experience of using an AI agent, and just in a sentence in the chat, maybe share some of it, and we might come to it at the end with the when we go through the Q&A. So just while we're waiting for people to come in, yeah. I see Rob on my screen. If you used an AI agent, Rob, put a message in the chat if you've seen something good or bad or.
Cheers. Hello, everyone.
Anything. It doesn't have to be work related. Buying gig tickets, complaining about a phone service, anything. I think they're everywhere at the moment. So still people joining, so we'll just give it a moment. Right. Mine spotlight, Tom.
No, your screen is, so that's all good.
Yeah, okay, good. Give it a couple more minutes. No one's used an AI agent. No one's got an experience. Tom, have you put anything in the chat if you have? And we'll talk about it later. Give everyone 30 more seconds to join, and then we'll get cracking with the introductions. Yeah, Paul's sharing something that's good. Fun experience agent, yeah. Couple of note takers in as well, so that's interesting whether they see those as an agent to themselves, or is that just purely a sort of a dumb note taker kind of thing. I have it. Yeah, so I put a meant like whether you'd used one, but it sounds like afterwards you'll have to share your details, Paul, and we'll see whether what yours is like, and whether it's a good experience there. So okay, they're unreal experience. That'll do for me. Okay, so in this session, we're going to talk about agents, and it's been described as the next frontier of software development, or of AI transformation, or of business transformation. You've probably seen the introduction to GW. Just got a couple of slides. We're employee owned. We're very focused on custom development. Huge adoption of AI. We think AI is going to make a huge difference to the business. And with all emerging technologies, we're concerned that the industry, if left alone, will just implement technology without thinking really about the business impact first. So our sort of motto really is we want to help businesses not waste time on technology that doesn't deliver, but really focus on how it can drive a competitive business advantage for you. And in this one, I've done 3 of these already, and this is episode 4, and I thought it was about time you heard from someone else. So I actually got on the call to one of my good friends and asked whether he could join, because I know he's got good experience with building agents. So I'd like to introduce, I've got Nitin to join me, so I'm really pleased to welcome him from Property Deals Insight, the founder of Property Deal Insight. Now, I've known Nitin for 15 years probably, right? And we've worked together. We used to go out for lunch all the time at Borough Market. Remember that, Nitin, when we were in London? But whether we're in work or out of work, we always used to talk about technology, and not the technology we were doing that day, but like the next generation. So I've sort of stayed in touch, and I've been really sort of pleased and proud to see what he's been achieving now. So I think maybe Nitin, if you'd like to just do a little introduction to you and
Sure.
what Property Deals Insight is.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Mark, for the nice introduction. And it's always great to be in touch with you. I think, as Mark said, we've known each other for over 15 years, actually. I think it was before my son was born. So yeah, that tells we're getting old. But yeah, I mean, I think Mark is always like my go-to person whenever I have to talk about technology. But after leaving GW, I've kind of went on and worked at places like HSBC, was a design authority enterprise architect over there at Lloyd's Banking Group, Payments UK, and all sorts of things. But after that, I started my own venture back in the COVID time, so 2019, where Property Deals Insight was born. And it's slowly but steadily turned into one of the UK's premier property data and AI platforms. And we've kind of one of the biggest things for us is we've now gone from being a property platform or tool to being the backbone of the industry, where we're now powering enterprise platforms, CRMs, and being used by thousands and thousands of property professionals across the country. And basically, we've been leveraging data, AI, building autonomous agents, and then that's kind of how our journey has evolved. Maybe if I can talk about like what we were trying to solve. So as I sort of ventured into this, one of the things was I was a property investor, landlord, behind the scenes while working my corporate roles. And I was always finding it tricky to identify where the next investment is, where can I put my money in, and how can I do the due diligence. But as we scratch the surface a little bit, we realize there's like a systematic issue within the entire UK property data landscape, whether you are a one-man band or some of the largest tier one institutions. The challenge is the data exists in the industry. You've got land registry and all these places, but the data exists in silos, and there's only bits and bots of it. Which is kind of what happens is that slows everything down, whether you are a lender or a corporate, your underwriting process is slow. I mean, you might have heard, or a lot of you guys might have actually faced issues with home buying and selling process taking months and months and months. And I think there are changes in the industry which are happening, and we are party to that as well. But ultimately, organizations like us are bringing all of these things together and helping out asset managers, landlords, agents, and everybody. Mark, if you move to the next slide, please. This is kind of where we were trying to solve this, and we brought to that's where Property Deals Insight was born in as a one unified platform. What we do is we bring together information from all trusted data sources, and we've combined every single UK household data, so over 30 million plus property records, which have been brought together, cleansed, and combined, and we've built our own proprietary algorithms, whether that is giving you accurate valuations, whether giving you access to on and off market data. Off market data is like one of those holy grails where everyone wants it, but no one knows how to get it. So, which is where we specialize in, and in fact, right now we're one of the most powerful platforms and with the best quality data on that. We've actually built a number of tools which are used across the state, whether it's the SaaS platform, which is used by estate agents, property professionals, or we produce instant reports, which you can get insights into any property. And then we've also opened up our data ecosystem to our clients with over 100 plus data APIs. And as we've kind of progressed through things, we've now started to leverage AI, bringing together how we can kind of win. I think people, I mean, some of these things we will discuss a little bit later, but one of the key things is having so much data is great. And then how can you carry on evolving? How can you kind of stay ahead of the game? And we've built a number of platforms, whether it's the portfolio intelligence platform for institutionals or lenders or asset managers, etc., or powering automated direct mailing. Or one of the most sophisticated things which we kind of do it for our clients is identification of assets, so where we leverage deep insights into the data points, and that allows us to identify hidden assets, acquisition opportunities, underperforming assets, which allow us to serve our clients. I think hopefully that kind of gives a bit of an idea on what we do.
Yeah, that's a great introduction, Nitin. And what triggered me to think about asking Nitin to join us was when I got an invitation of Alex, who works for Property Deal Insight on LinkedIn. And then, it's very transparent. It's very obvious that Alex is one of Nitin's AI agents. So yeah, she has got a LinkedIn profile and is prospecting through that. So that really sparked my interest to get on the call and talk to Nitin. And we went for dinner down in London and discussed agents for quite a while. I think it's absolutely clear, that this is the next sort of wave in technology, right? It's the next wave of user interface. People will no longer want to be filling in forms, going and searching up lookup data and adding it, typing in all these elements. They'll be expecting the computer systems to do that for them. And they'll be expecting as a human experience just to direct that, just to say what you want out of it. And Gartner, really respected Analyst, has really upped their prediction recently. So this stat, it was actually from an August 26th report, but they updated it even after that in September and October, that 40% of enterprise apps will have task-specific AI agents by 2026. It was 5% in 2025. So this is increasing. This is how you will interact with your apps in the very near future, right? We'll be moving on from just AI assistants that are more like chat interfaces to things that will do tasks for you, achieve outcomes for you. And then look how fast this moves in their predictions. 2027, collaborative agents working with agents for more complex tasks. 2028, ecosystems of agents. Maybe one of my agents might be calling and talking to one of Nitin's agents to get some property data, for an application. And 2029, just 3 years away, this will be the normal for enterprise applications. Like we've gone through the transition where client server PC-based apps was the norm to web-based apps to people interacting in mobile. Next generation will be people talking to and typing to agents, whether it's through WhatsApp, through native apps, through specific interfaces. This is where it's going. By the way, if anyone's got any questions that come up when you go along, put it in the chat. Tom will have a look at them and will ask us at the end. So everything's about agents, but so many definitions of agents out there. There's always sort of discussions of what does it mean. Now, I presented in the last session where we presented our intelligence blueprints. We built up how you would use LLMs and ChatGPT and copilots. And we were talking about users will interact. They'll have prompt libraries. They'll load up knowledge sources, unstructured data and structured data. They'll provide a toolbox to their copilots or their GPTs with actions in, and that will use one of the LLMs. And then we said, if we take that to the next stage, this application might be able to choose between different LLMs, might use Gemini for image creation, might use VO2 for video creation, might use OpenAI's Mini for quick answers, might use something else for deep reasoning, right? And this application, or this agent, as I'm calling it now, could choose between those for the right task. We then build in memory. So it knows what's been asked before. It's got context from past conversations. That's where it can start to train and learn and be more nuanced in its answers. It can also have workflows that are predefined, but also workflows that has been generated from an LLM. It's been generated from a planning agent to say, these are the steps that we need to do it. All those put together mean that rather than you asking a request and response to a piece of software, you're asking it to achieve an outcome for you. And that's where we're moving into the remit of agents, and agents being more outcome oriented. Now, there could be arguments all over the place. This is a little meme from a guy called Andrew Ng, who is really got a great YouTube channel. He makes things super accessible, you know, so if you want to understand the different types of agents or how to approach it or things around LLM, he's our go-to, or he's my go-to actually. He founded an educational organization called deeplearning.ai, and he talks a lot about this is a spectrum. There's degrees of autonomy, and let's not get hung up on, is it an agent or is it an agentic workflow or is it a chatbot? You've got something achieving an outcome for you that can be less autonomous, where you are in the driving seat and you're requesting and responsive, or highly autonomous, where you're just instructing it on the outcome, giving it all the tools, and it will report back when it's achieved this. All right, so think about it like that. And he introduced 4 patterns, 4 types of agents. The first is just reflective. It is just you're giving it an instruction, it's given an answer, and it can look at its own answer and improve it. The next stage is really when it's got this library, this set of tools it can use. So being instructed to do something, it's got a catalogue of the things it has got at hand to be able to do that. We then move on to the planning agents that can actually say, to achieve this outcome, I need to plan, I need to call this data, enrich the data, and then look this up, and then take this action, and then get agreement from the user to achieve that. That would be a planning agent who plans that workflow out and then executes it. And then the 4th pattern that it introduces is multi-agents. Now this becomes great at kind of having more specialist agents that are just experts at one thing, and agents that know that the other agents are experts at one thing, so it defers to that. It's having an expert in anything you ever needed, you know, in your office, where you can ask someone, you know, specialist on coding, or specialist on business strategy, or specialist on kind of testing, etc. So these were the agents that he introduced. From my point of view, I've sort of taken these and think about, well, what are the outcomes of these agents? So the first one, more reflex-based, is these will act purely on the input, predefined actions and rules. They don't remember, they just react to what you have provided. Taking that a step further, you can have goal-based agents. So these are ones that can plan ahead and can look at the goal you're trying to achieve rather than simply reacting. They can advise you on the best way to meet that goal. Then you've got adaptive agents, as I call them, where it's actually now learning from feedback. It can adapt their behavior. It can replan. You know, the first path, the first thing that you document to do something is never the best. It's always best when you've tried it, you've got the results, and then you tweak that and you refine it and you work through. So, you know, that's more like an agent being adaptive. And then the collaborating agents, as Andrew introduces, that a very specialist one. You know, this means that they can really focus on having the knowledge and really focus on the best outcome for one step, and then an orchestrator or a choreographing agent that brings all of that together. So when we think about agents, we should be thinking about these, and some meet better tasks better than others. Some have huge autonomy, some are really focused on human agency still, and this is what we think of. Okay, so I'd just like to very quickly just switch, just to make it interactive as well, is what's your experience on how effective these types of agents are? So I'm just launching a poll, if you have a look, and just, you know, don't overthink this. I'm just interested to see what people kind of think about that. So how effective out of those, the agents you've experienced? Are they just chatbots to you still? You know, do you always have to switch to a human agent? So they're good, but, you know, need improvements? Or are they really, you know, amazing? Yeah, I'd rather talk to an agent every time, right? So just give you a minute to look at that. By the way, I've only got kind of one more theory slide in this one, and then we're going to switch to demos and tell you a bit about how we've been using it. So But for those who it feels we've got 5 for really promising, or the majority. There's a couple of people who've said no better than chatbots. So I'm interested at the end when you do Q&A is really challenge us on how we can make them better than chatbots. So yeah, interesting. We can share the details of that poll if anyone's interested. I think it stays in the chat throughout. So
It does indeed.
So to really, you know, to get us to the really promising level and the getting better level, I've identified really 4 success factors for doing this, right? And I think, Nitin, you know, feel free to jump in your experience of whether these resonate or whether there are other things. I'll just introduce them first of all. We really need to think about the outcome before putting the technology in and trying to build a ChatGPT agent or a Copilot agent or a Gemini agent. Think about what outcomes do we want? You know, rather than telling it exactly what it needs to do, how can you describe the outcome that you want from, and how can you test that outcome, and let the very clever, intelligent, knowledgeable LLMs work out the best route to get there? I think it's really important to have structured boundaries. You know, having just one open agent that knows about everything and you've dumped all your company information with, you won't get the same results if you really think about what's the purpose of this agent. You know, what are the boundaries? What is it allowed to access? What is it not allowed to access? Can it give away sensitive pricing information, or does it need to refer to someone for that? Those kind of things, right? I think when you're adopting agents, you must come up with an improvement feedback loop cycle for this. How are you going to test it? How are you going to know the responses it was giving to the users or the callers are correct and are great, and it's the behavior you want, and correct that early and iteratively. And then I think for anyone's confidence, you need humans in the loop at sub stage. Now, this could be just for certain elements, the sensitive elements, the things you're going to commit to, right? Or just reviewing and just sampling the agent's responses and improving that. So in my experience, these are the 4 most important things. Nitin, am I missing anything? Does that resonate with your experience?
I think that's pretty bang on. And I think one of the things which we've seen, just to kind of resonate and what you mentioned here, is knowing what you're trying to do and actually making sure you're actually setting some of those objectives up front is quite important, because AI is brilliant and is helping us in so many aspects, but sometimes what you find is people are engaging with AI, they end up spending hours and hours and hours, and then come up with, or days or weeks actually, come up with something which they never really wanted to, because AI just steers them in that way. So I think what you mentioned here is defining outcomes, having boundaries, and ultimately adapting to the results, plus having a human oversight is really important. And I think this kind of almost goes back to if you think about enterprise architecture and how some of the things have been done, it kind of is following some of those principles. It's just kind of now obviously a lot of information is coming from the AI agents, so very much aligned to what we've seen.
Yeah, indeed.
Well,
So, based on what we've said. Yeah.
Sorry, Mike, just to jump in. So one of the questions that was pre-submitted, which is probably a good point for this, is when should an organization look to adopt agents versus human-supported AI, and what's the governance model that needs to be in place to roll them out effectively?
Yeah, I mean, I think that how you select use cases, places to use and adopt, and is fairly standard, whether it's automation with AI or whether it's full kind of agents you're putting in place. The first thing is there any extra intelligence where to scale this you need some extra intelligence on this? So if you've got 2 people looking at reams of kind of leads and are enriching those leads and are calling out to those leads, that's not scalable, right? One agent can scale to hundreds, thousands. So if you've got a problem where you need kind of a bit of intelligence at scale, that then look into this, right? And allow the human interaction and the human agency to work on a more filtered set of that then, right? So with any problem, you think, do we need to scale this, right? If we do, consider using AI or agents. I think the other element on this is this absolutely critical to your business that the answers are right in something? So this might be, kind of more pricing up or automation in calculations, or your most important step in your life cycle with a client. Then at the moment you want human oversight in that, right? And that's not because of the technology is not there yet, but the technology will only be good as the context you give it, the outcomes you're asking and what you're describing, all of the access to the tools and the data that you need, making sure that data is perfectly clean. So that takes iterations, so you will need to iterate round to get that perfect. So do not expect the agent to get it perfect 100% of the time. Look for 95%, 97%, maybe 99%. But if those are okay, those thresholds are okay, then use the automation, but if you really need 100% accuracy in something you're offering, either do the bulk in the 99 percent or 95%, and then you use the human kind of interaction. So that's my views. I don't know whether Nitin, anything to add to that?
I think that is spot on, and I think I would like to try and give another angle to it. I mean, which is sort of in line with what you said. However, if you think about it, anything when you are kicking off as an organization is looking to adapt AI, I would say you can think of at any program which is starting, you will have human involvement. The goal is obviously to make it more and more autonomous, and then as you are kind of going through various iterations, as things are becoming more and more perfect, or getting towards that nirvana state where everything should be handled by AI, you're obviously going to start seeing that. And again, you can then start thinking of putting it into buckets, which ones are more critical, as Mark mentioned, where can you actually, which bits you want to be automating or leaving it on AI. And ultimately, it's all about how can we actually make our life easy and let AI do the hard work, or basically get through the messy stuff and then give more structured output, which the humans in the loop can actually interact with. So in a way, humans can then focus on orchestrating some of these responses or going back to their clients much faster. What I wouldn't necessarily suggest is giving, like, for instance, legal sign-offs on certain things without having perfected it. And as Mark said, it's not that you can't get there, but you've got to understand how critical that is and what are the implications of some of these things. Ultimately, the aim should be that you want to get towards the more and more autonomous state. But it's AI; it can make mistakes, and it all depends on how well you've given the context, how well you've added your guardrails, how well which model you're using, and they're always kind of opportunities to improve. So there is an element of human insight oversight which is needed, but the amount of oversight required is the goal is with AI it should be reduced more and more.
Yeah, and I think oversight on the outcomes and feeding that back in, rather than needing human input and providing all of the context and the documents. Really, these agents should have access and should know more than you can just even comprehend of a knowledge point of view. So how do you use that, better? And we're going to show you a couple of demos that might help kind of show that. So the first one I'm going to show is of an agent called Buddy. So, everyone must have you must have a favorite sports club, or you must go to venues for the theatre or for entertainment. And there's always something you're looking up on the way to it. There's always kind of, how do I get there? Where do I park? Should I eat before I go? How do I get my tickets? I've got my tickets, but it's in an app. What if the Wi-Fi is not there? Can I download to a Google Wallet? So there's always something where you might, if it was accessible and easy to ask the club, you might call them, but you think it's not worth calling for that, or I'll be in a queue, right? Because all of these helplines, you're always in a queue. They can't scale to taking 1,000 or 10,000 calls at once, you know. So if you're going to a football event with 50,000 people there, then the call center can't take calls off everyone, but an agent could, right? Or a personal agent that's on your phone could actually help you with that. So we've designed it in combination with Sports AI, an agent called Buddy, right? Which is your sort of match day buddy. It's your onboarding buddy. You know, the first time you go, telling you about it. It's your, you know, it'll produce the reports for you. It will, you know, kind of. It will also go and look out for opportunities for hospitality or any elements like that, and it's got access to all of the data it needs. Now, a couple of key things about this buddy is it shouldn't just be request response. It should know about you. It should know about the conditions. If it's the first time at a match, it should know that, and it should be reaching out to you, right? So this should be proactive rather than reactive agents. It should have all the knowledge that you've given it access to, but all the knowledge from its private data sources, but also publicly. So if you're going to an event tonight and it's torrential rain, maybe a little notification, you're outside, remember to, you know, to pack your coat. So I'm going to show you a bit of a demo of this, right? So this is a buddy on a phone. I'm just going to click play there. Just bear with me, it takes a minute. So you'll see here that it's reached out to us. There's a notification. In this instance, it's a cricket buddy. You're going to a cricket match. Bear with me. There's a problem with the Hi Sam. We saw you booked for Friday night's Vitality Blast, right? With your son. You know, is there anything I need to know? Yes, I've never been before. You know, is there anything I should know? Yeah, here's a few things to make it run smoothly. Here's the banners that you need, etc., etc. Actually, what are the drinks options? Well, here's the drinks option. So we're bringing in line to this. If I just pause it, bringing in line some UI widgets. We're making it really super accessible, right? We're giving them information about the food and the drinks. We're allowing them to pre-order, right? So we've got here, we know where they're sitting. We know where they can order to the kiosk. That'll be ready for you when you arrive, right? And then proactive again. Have you thought about how you'll get to the ground? If you're thinking of driving, you can park near the ground. Actually, I noticed you're based in Wolverhampton. You may be getting the train from here. You did know there's a shuttle. This is where you pick it up. This is the cost. So, you know, me as the new user, that sounds like a plan, actually. We'll do the shuttle, right? So you've entered them into a conversation. Rather than it feeling like a Q&A, you're actually proactively helping them, suggesting the things they should know that they didn't know about. It's fully integrated, you know, to maps or anything like that. Everything should be accessible there. Right, your tickets for Friday match are here. Before they've even asked, here's your link to add Apple Wallet. You know, you haven't added it to Apple Wallet. Here you go. Right. So you see that this is not just about the knowledge it's got and the outcome and the actions, but the outcome it's been programmed to do, as this is an onboarding buddy, an onboarding agent, is to make it as smooth as possible for new attendees to get the most out of their first match day, right? So it can go wherever the conversation is going with that, right? So that's Buddy, and the idea is that it will build up more and more data access and more outcomes.
That's very impressive.
Yeah, and the next case study I want to do is something from Nitin. So yeah, we've got 10 minutes, Nitin. So a quick introduction, and then hopefully we'll get on to showing a demo.
Oh, absolutely. I think this slide over here is kind of showing our journey, which was almost like back in a couple of years to 2.5 years ago when AI became a thing. We started kind of from things like your chat GPTs and Google Gemini and Claude, etc., etc. So we started using it for increasing productivity, and we started leveraging. I mean, obviously, with us being a data organization, how could we actually bring AI into it so that customers can get better outputs. So we've kind of launched our AI portfolio insights product, which was for like financial institutions, and we added something called AI portfolio score, which was kind of behind the scenes leveraging AI. And as we kind of moved from the early ages of using AI and more towards the agentic mode, that part happened with us more out of need than wanting to do something. And I think going back to the point around doing things iteratively, obviously, as me being a founder and having the architecture sort of a background, I'm always coming up with new ideas. That would be great if you could do so and so. And I was asking my developers to do some of these things. But by the time you kind of tell them and then wait for them to do something, my mind is racing at 100 miles an hour. I'm asking them to do something else and something else. And a lot of times I found myself almost limited because of what I was actually asking them to do. So that's when I think it resonated very nicely when the agentic mode came out with ChatGPT and with Claude and Copilot. All these things started to evolve, and we've leveraged it to the fullest, really. I mean, there are some screenshots on here. I don't know if you guys can see, but what we were doing was we were actually leveraging different AI models to do different things, whether it was around deciding what we should be doing. So we actually created like a feedback loop, which was being discussed earlier. We literally gave personas to some of these agents, which were the job of them was like go and log in into my application as a normal user and use different personas, whether you are a first-time user, whether you are an experienced agent, etc., etc., and give us feedback how you would use it, what things should be improving. And that was actually feeding back into our feature roadmap, which was allowing us to build it. And then we took it further and we said, okay, fine, all of this input is fine. Then we basically used our architectural agents, which were saying, fine, think of it as how an enterprise would like want to design and build these things. And then we actually used GitHub Copilot along with your Claude and ChatGPT models, Codex, etc., etc. And this is kind of autonomously building the application. Some of these screenshots which you see here, which allowed us to actually unlock some of the hidden revenue which we were finding as an organization. We early stage organization, we were always short of staff, and it doesn't matter how big your organization you are. You always want to be able to actually say, can someone unearth all the important things which I have to do? Can you actually figure out what are the 5 most important things I should be doing today? And on some of these dashboards, if you can basically make out, it was actually giving us signals of who are the most important customers we should be talking to, who do we risk losing, where are the renewals coming, who's actually showing the most important signs, who's likely to be the most lucrative contract for us. So all that information and intel was coming out, and all of this was built without a single line of code being written by any developer. And this basically went from being my weekend project into basically next iteration. Can it also automatically do this? Can it also automatically do that? We basically literally had AI agents building the code for us. I was obviously the human in the loop in this case, driving or orchestrating what it should be doing. And we've also had the UI or the testing agents, I would call them, where they were looking at, okay, what is being produced? Is it good? So their job was to criticize the work of the other agents, and I would then get them to basically, like, from the point of view of saying, find out any loophole, how can this be improved? So it was like a continuous cycle, which we were taking. And this was actually feeding back into my sales teams and actually saying, now you should be calling all these people who are important. And even then, we were like, actually, salespeople come and go. And I think you possibly, if you guys are into business, you would know that it's very hard to find the right kind of people. And one of the challenges, you're spending forever trying to train these people, and then they go, and then you're back to square one. So one of the things is like, why don't we actually start training AI? And this is where we started fiddling with things like voice AI and basically looked at a number of platforms like Vapi, Synthflow, etc., etc. But after the initial, what should I say, test mode or hello world, I would say, then you realize actually they're not really fit for purpose. So we then ended up building our own custom 11 Labs was our core data, like voice agents, which we were doing, but we built our own custom platform, which was again all entirely built by AI agents, and that allowed us to start using and talking to humans. we've started inviting customers to our webinars, and we had the most well-attended webinars, even with like a 24-hour notice. So we had literally AI calling hundreds, or at one stage we called about 700 people on the day, and we ended up with a lot of people that we couldn't fit them all into the webinar meeting room. Sorry. And I think that's kind of allowed and gone from that stage where some of our customers saw how we managed to leverage this, and it helped us increase our human workforce as well, because it's not about getting rid of humans, it's about can we bring in humans to do the more important stuff and leveraging AI to do all the legwork. We've now actually got clients saying we would want these AI agents to be put into our own business. And we've then gone on built a number of business models, or AI models, and even context-aware models, which are being used by clients. And I'm happy to kind of maybe show a demo.
Yeah, so
of one of those.
These sound great. Nitin, are you able to give people a flavour for maybe that sales agents who probably took your eased your need for sales? So
sure, absolutely. Let me actually quickly do, if you want, I can do a very quick screen share, and I think we can kick off a call for.
Yeah, we've got four more minutes in the call. So
no, absolutely. I'll just be very quick. Hopefully you can be my guinea pig, so I'll actually use you. So this is the dashboard app we were talking about. Is basically got all of these things that where it's actually showing me which one are the most urgent actions that need to be taken. And we've got humans taking it now. We've actually got more and more being autonomously done by the AI, which is now passing it on to the humans only when they're required to get into the circle. So one of the things which our clients are actually getting, and something which I absolutely love, is the model which we've created for, if I can get rid of this screen, is for, let's just go here. I might click off a new campaign. So this is where you can actually plug in any of the number of clients or whoever you want to outreach, or any of the prospects. So in this case, I'm just going to quickly kick off a call to Mark Simpson, and if I can put in the key in your details, okay. So what I like about this is you can actually, as a business owner or a business head or sales head, etc., you might have certain things which you want your AI agents to do. But as we were discussing earlier about, there are certain things which can have predefined outcomes, and other things which you just can't, which happen on the day. You just can't keep coding and training different agents. So what we came up with is a context-aware agent model. So we have all these number of agents which have predefined models, but then this one is actually acting as my personal assistant, and it is context aware. So you give it a context. For instance, if I was to ask Alex to actually call Mark, I have written a brief prompt basically asking him to reach out to Mark, check how he's getting on with that proposal, and has he had a chance to look at it, give any information he needs, and ultimately bottom line is I want him to progress and become my paying client. So if I just quickly kick this off, that should hopefully come to.
So hopefully
Mark.
You can still hear me. So I'm here, my phone's in my pocket, and you kicked it off to call me?
Yep, so I think it should kick you any moment now. So it should be. Right. So I think it should give you a call in a minute. That's fine. I actually had the time set as 43, so it should call you now.
Okay. And then what I'm going to do for people to see while we're just doing that is I'm just going to leave your details up, Nitin, if they want more details. So basically, what one of the advantages here is that agent can make 100 calls at exactly the same time, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Look at outcomes. So is it due yet?
Yeah, it should do. I'm just actually kicking off another one with the past time, so it was my mistake on my side.
Okay.
So you should hopefully get it
So
now.
I'm getting a call from Property Deal Insight here, so I'm going to take the call and it should be on speaker. Yes.
Plus AI proposal for Griffiths Waite. Have you had a chance to review it yet?
Well, I've been a bit busy, but I've skim read it. It's quite interesting.
Totally understand you're busy. Thanks for looking. What would be most useful to clarify first? Have you had any initial chats with your board or the building society client about rollout?
Yeah, I mean, I think for the building society clients, it's all going to be about outcomes to them. So how can it help our clients?
Completely agree. It has to show clear outcomes. For your building society client, PDI's AI dashboard can enrich their whole mortgage portfolio, surfacing refinance opportunities and retention risks. It flags compliance items like EPC and ESG and highlights flood risk with simple red, amber, green views for prioritization. Your team can run first touch outreach at scale with AI agents, while humans step in when needed, improving cross-sell and retention. Would a quick walkthrough of those use cases help you position it to them?
Yeah, a call would be good. I think we have one major question we always get asked is about our clients' privacy. So can you enrich the data, or do we need to provide data on our clients to you?
Great, happy to set that up. Privacy, we support two patterns. We can enrich using our own national property and geospatial data without you sending any personally identifiable client data. You can match on non-personal keys your side.
Actually, Alex, I've just noticed the time. I have got another call. Is it possible just to set up a call maybe next week and you can show me the details? I'm free Tuesday.
Oh, no problem. Tuesday next week. What time suits you, morning or afternoon? I'll tentatively note it and confirm with Nitin.
Morning.
Would you like a brief agenda?
Morning, 10:30.
Great, morning work.
Yep. Okay, that's brilliant. Thanks. I'm going to shoot off now. Thanks. Bye-bye. So you'll see that really good, Nitin. So the important thing there is it was reacting, to what I needed to do, to where the conversation went. So you can see that, kind of Russell's asked about kind of, how upfront are you? Maybe this is one final question and then we'll end the webinar because we're slightly over. But, Alex has a human picture with AI in her name. Are you being honest about AI? And have you had many experiences from customers, Nitin, of people saying, oh, I didn't like that. I didn't like that call from AI. I'd rather just talk to you. Or, have you done anything to really kind of approach that?
No, I think all of these are important questions, and I think this is something which a lot of our clients ask, and we did go through all this journey. So it wasn't the first version of Alex wasn't how you've basically found her today. I mean, we've obviously gone all through that journey. So yeah, we have trained the AI models to specify that they are AI. And the AI agents which we've got given profiles of, they clearly mention that they are AI agents. In fact, we when we are listening to some of the conversations or basically transcripts, which is also something available within our dashboards, we basically seen people are actually absolutely amazed. They are like, oh my God, you're AI, you're so good and everything. And in fact, they absolutely love actually having them. And it's been a great hook for bringing us clients who want to be working with us because they want to be looking at a forward-thinking company. How can they actually leverage it? It's not about faking being a human. I mean, there were early beta models where we tried to do that, but that was just when we discussed internally, it wasn't something we wanted to do. We wanted to make sure people are aware. It does say it's a digital assistant, AI assistant, if it's basically a question. So it's not something which we've had an issue. And I think more and more, it's always an auto improving and always improving scenario. We've always look at the various call outcomes, feed it into another AI model, which is actually feeding into the coding of or improving the programming of this AI model. So that's something which we are actually always using and leveraging.
So Nitin, have you measured the drop-off rates of calls from Alex or Beth, your other agents? Paul's asked that actually.
I think the way we use it is a number of ways, and I'm cautious we're out of time. So we've used Alex and Beth in a number of ways. So we've had incoming inquiries, we've got outgoing inquiries. So all depends on how it is. Yes, when you're doing cold outreach or kind of relatively cold outreach, then of course you would have some places where people are actually busy. But how it's been trained is it's actually been trained to try and find another time. It's not about pestering the clients, but actually trying to agree how many more people agree to for other time. And that is something which has actually given us almost like 3x, 4x more conversations with customers. I mean, we're not saying 100% of the people would be jumping on to the fact that because everyone can be busy, but we've now reached a point where people are very happy having a conversation. And I think the reason why we've actually done a live demo in here is because we're so confident in our abilities of the agents. And ultimately, it's our business name associated with it. It's not a gimmicky thing which we are producing. We're actually showcasing how our teams are effectively being able to increase revenue and efficiency using AI.
Nice.
Right.
Just one final question, both, because we are at time, from Milan. For those people who are building agents, what's your preferred platform or framework for agents?
Yeah, I think for me, you always want to think about a hybrid. What's best for different tasks? So Nitin's there used 11 labs for actually the sort of the voiceover, but for a lot of the intelligence about what is it going to say and how it's going to do, you will have different models for that.
Yeah.
If you want to do any kind of, drawings or outlines. So whatever you choose, build a framework that's modular, that you can plug things in, you can test and you can evolve, right? Nitin, anything very quickly to add to that, and then we'll.
No, I think that's spot on. There's no one size fits all here. I mean, we've used. I mean, when I mentioned GitHub Copilot, there's an aggregation of things, so you can actually switch between models, and within our own calling agents, we've got 4 or 5 different agents using different models. Some can think a little bit more than the others, kind of thing, and some are faster in communication. So we use all the different models, and it's such an evolving space that every now and then you find somebody suddenly improve their model more than the other, and that's just how you have to
moves
adapt.
so fast, doesn't it, Nitin, that you've got to make sure you build an architecture that you can plug that in.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
due to time, I'm gonna just move that on. So Tom will be in touch. He'll send these slides out. There's Nitin's details if you want more information about what he's done, or you're a property investor or a landlord and you want to actually use his product, please. I'm actually going to be running one more webinar in this series before Christmas, where I'm going to get another guest, Warren, from my team, and we're going to talk about AI in the SDLC, about using Copilot agents and Claude agents to actually build the code and design the code. Is some of the things Nitin was talking about. But yeah, Nitin, any final words?
No, I think it's been great to have to be invited here. I mean, it's a topic I love to talk about. I mean, anybody who wants to connect, find me on LinkedIn or just connect with us. Happy to have a further discussion. I know some comments were unanswered, but really love what you guys are doing, and I'd be looking forward to the further webinars in this series.
Yeah, well, so I'll end by saying thank you ever so much, Nitin, for giving up your time, and thanks everyone for the good questions. Keep those questions coming in the chat if you want, and maybe we'll answer them offline, and I'll share all these questions for Nitin. So thank you very much. Have a good rest of the day, Nitin, and we shall catch up soon. So thank you all.
Guys. Thanks,
Cheers, everybody. Take care.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.